20s, it's GM. Okay. Sup guys, it's Desrow. I'm back with Replay Thursday on a Monday. Yeah, I know. Replay Thursday, episode 2. We have a replay from a GM Protoss, so we'll get started. A GM Protoss. It's a PvP. PvP is sort of my weakest matchup, so I'll just give you my, sort of a second opinion. No guarantees of, like, rocket science advancement to help your game. He submitted a replay last year, and he was still GM back then. It was a PVZ from a tournament, so it'll be interesting this time around to see. Let me crank up my mic volume. So it'll be interesting this time around to see how he's improved and how he's doing. So he's Monty SC2. It's a PvP on Habitation Station. I was up against the Stargate openings. I went Blink into Expo, Immortal, Charged Out Archon into Tempest. What do you think didn't work? I simply was not able to defend his final push. Even though I scouted everything and tried to react properly, I didn't really know how to engage. My transition into Tempest came too late. Maybe go into Voidray Colossus instead in that case. Question about the matchup. Mid-game Colossus... +2 timing against Immortal Charged Out Archon seems incredibly strong. Am I forced to go into Colossus War, or am I meant to defend that kind of 2-base push? I feel like Tempest take too long, and especially with Time Warp and on a map like Habitation Station. The way I've seen, like, all the SKT Protosses, they play Immortal, Archon, Charged Out, Tempest. But what they always do is they try to snipe the Mothership Core with the Warp Prism with a Templar in it. And they also drop Zealots. There's a cannon. They just drop 4 Zealots, kill the cannon. Maybe, and then just try to always buy time so that the Colossus player, if he wants to move out, is really pinned down. And because, they have more mobility with the Immortal, with the Archons, and with the Zealots, they pressure the third base, or they just grab a quicker third base. So it'll be interesting to see how you do versus Blink. Is that the old patch? No, that's the new patch. The poor Mothership Core doesn't see anything. So putting a little bit of pressure with a Stalker, another Stalker, off one gate. So 1 gate Blink. And then you see that it's a Stargate. You're gonna have to let the Mothership Core go. Kinda sucks, but... Alright, so you're going Blink, going back home. Versus Phoenix. Okay, put probes back on gas. So you've got 5 Stalkers. But you kind of got caught out of position. Like, you had vision over here with your Panons, so probably would have sit around the gases a little bit more. Because those probes were for free. Alright. So you sacked your probe in his base, see what he was doing. 3-gate Stargate. Nothing too fancy. I like that you poked down with 1 Stalker to see where he was. Ah. Yeah. I feel like you could have handled that a little bit better. Oh wow, that was a really nice catch. Holy poop. Yeah, so see guys, what he did is he had no vision at all, right? But he used his game sense. Like, the Phoenix player is always going to be scouting around to see if he's putting down the expand. So he flew out this way, so he was going to bound to come back this way. So that's why he blinked in. And that actually paid off. So a little bit of pressure while expanding. So the Stargate tech is no longer being used. I think there was an Oracle. Is there? I think there's like... maybe it's with game art. Unit loss? No. Like, isn't there like a thing that you can see what units have been lost? Yeah, it has to be with game art. Units killed. No. No. Okay, I give up. But anyway, because you lost a little bit more workers, probably it was an Oracle. So expanding, the Robo, everything's fine, basically. Well, this guy's GM, so there's nothing, like, groundbreaking, besides just losing a little bit less workers to the Phoenix, but the game sense of picking off 2 Phoenix was pretty badass. Now, Defender's advantage on this map is really good, because the ramp is so short, and he's got like 4 sentries. But, yeah, so it's a tough decision for him right now, because he could hallucinate to see if he's expanding, but then if he does that, he has less energy for force field. But I believe this little guy is about to be full energy, so... but he's trying to buy time and kite with the Stalker, so it's not like he can do everything at once. And because he doesn't know if the other guy is expanding or whatnot, he has to stay on 30 probes. Because more than that, if the other guy were to all in, then you're kind of screwed. Oh, very ballsy. But at that point, he should have realized it was a small army, and he should have probed up a little bit more, which he's doing right now. Like, he's realizing, like, oh, this Protoss was just buying time in the middle of the map to try to come back, which he kind of did. Like, if you look at the supply, if you look at the worker count, it's not too crazy. Oh, another Oracle. 3 workers for an Oracle. I actually like how both players played. Like the Stargate guy just never giving up, and then this guy with the Stalkers being very active, Monty. So finally set up a cannon, going into charge lot. Both have like the same timing on their forges. So yeah, it's at that point where you scouted the Robo Bay. That point you scouted the Robo Bay. Parting actually makes like a much earlier a much earlier Templar archive, and as you see, like, you had the gas for it. That way you can feed back oracles, and like I said, you can try to Templar drop and feed back the mothership core. Because even though you might lose 150 gas, 150 gas is a lot more valuable. Killing his mothership core is a lot more critical. Like French. It's a lot more important because that energy takes time to build up, and then it allows you to put pressure on the third, or yeah. So you're grabbing the third. 3 Phoenix scouting. So you're setting up the Stargates, and you're going for a third. But there's no Warp Prism. So see, that's the thing. There's no Warp Prism, and this guy didn't even have cannons, right? So since it ends in 3 minutes, I assume he just does a 2 base all in. If he would have had a Warp Prism, it would have been very magical. And you know that he's not coming as well, so you're not over probing. You're just getting the Tempest. But yeah, just the Warp Prism, really. The Warp Prism, and then the Stalkers in a battle like this. You could have also tried maybe to blink 4 Stalkers in the main at some point with hallucination, and just really feedbacking the mothership core. Like those 3 things really. So the Warp Prism, more harass with the Stalker, and then also Warp Prism with the feedback, and then yeah. And like, you had a good army, but you didn't have a concave setup, so like he came in for free basically. Like, you let him come down the ramp for free. Okay, let's take a look. I think, yeah. You should move the Colossus forward though, because otherwise they're just gonna, like the splash damage, they're gonna die for nothing or whatever. And then I also think like you could almost set up like 1 or 2 immortals with a few Zots, sort of like when we were doing that versus 1-1-1 with tanks. If you were to flank, although I guess they don't do that in Pro League for a reason, but I'm just saying, like, it might have worked. But yeah, you just let him come down the ramp. You didn't like buy enough time. Like your third barely kicked in, because if you see like the income, if you would have postured around here, so to not let him come down, you know, with an observer, and because your Tempest kind of came late, but actually they didn't come late at all. You could have set up there. You could have sat down at the bottom of the ramp. So yeah, just better engagement, more harass, whether it's with Stalkers, with Templar for feedback, or just like this guy played like a greedy motherfucker, like no cannons. So those are little things you can do. Thank you Monty SC2 for submitting this replay. Hope you guys learned. Because we didn't go into details about some of the army composition, because I know he knows what he's doing. But yeah, it was fun. The final battle. Almost made it work. Almost killed all the Stalkers. So you guys, that was Game 1 of Replay Thursday Episode 2. We'll be back with Game 2 in just a bit. Stay tuned.